Welcome, welcome, patrons. What perhaps started as a small joke character in Dragon Age Origins has now developed into the most popular tinfoil king. What would a dwarven mage look like? Sandal. Could someone be housing the soul of an elven god June? Sandal. Who is the maker? Sandal. And these are not theories that I've just made up at the top of my head. Those are legitimate theories that people have put time into. And there's a lot more as well. It seems everyone has their own theory as to who or what Sandal is, so before taking a very light stroll into the vast field of Sandal theories, let's get a review on who Sandal is. The life. The story of Sandal starts out with his adopted father, Bodan. Bodan lived in Orzammar with a very successful business buying rare junk that the castles found in the deep roads, then selling it to nobles. One day, a castless man came in with an iron and gold dragon head inlaid with large jewels. He said that he found it very close to the Aeducanteig, but just below and past it, and there was also more. Bodan, 2 guards, and the castless went into the deep together to find more valuables. From World of Thetis Volume 2, when they reached their destination, what Bodan saw nearly took his breath away. A glittering wall that depicted ancient tales of heroes and paragons. Elves, dwarves, dragons, and creatures Bodan could not name brought to life in mosaic of gold and jewels. It was vast beyond his imagining, stretching upward far above the glow of the torch into the upper reaches of the chamber, and down its lower segments buried beneath the rocks they stood upon. Bodan took a torch and walked the wall, trying to gain a better understanding of its scale, when an old cave-in halted his progress. He turned round, and that was when he saw the boy, a dwarven child about 5 years old. At that moment, he first heard the Darkspawn coming. They had seen the party, or heard them, and were coming for blood. Bodan grabbed the child and ran. His men collapsed the tunnel behind them, and Bodan caught a last glimpse of the jeweled wall as the deep roads came down around it. And thus begins the saga of Sandal. Years later, Bodan would be falsely accused of stealing an object by a noblewoman and forced to flee with Sandal to the surface. Now, interestingly enough, in Dragon Age 2, Bodan says this about him finding Sandal.
I found him in the deep roads when I left Orzammar for good. Raised him as my own now. Isn't that right, my boy?
I like Bodan.
And this contradicts what is said in World of Thetis, so either Bodan lied to Hawk, or it's an editing error in World of Thetis. I'll let you choose which one is true on that one. Bodan also mentions that he got married on the surface to a woman in Denerim. We don't know anything about her. She does not appear at all. She just, after that one line in Origins, she's never heard of again. Anyway, Bodan mentions that about a year after they make it to the surface, he took Sandal to the Circle of Magi to figure out how he was able to do the things he can do. They label him a savant with enchantments, and Bodan leaves before the Circle can figure out what they want to do with him. A few years after that is when they meet the hero of Ferelden. Sandal's story from here is fairly light and dotted with interesting details that makes the fandom's head swirl. During their journeys on the surface, the two were attacked by Darkspawn and saved by the Grey Warden, who would later become the hero of Ferelden. Sandal says little, often just repeating what Bodan says, or just the word enchantment. But despite all of that, he is described as being extremely skilled with runecrafting and enchanting. While Bodan was initially cautious on following the hero of Ferelden, he follows them around anyway, staying at their camp and selling his wares to the hero. Sandal also getting the chance to enchant the hero's items. Bodan and Sandal are then seen right before the end in Redcliffe. Eventually, during the Battle of Denerim, Sandal somehow makes it to Fort Dragon before the hero of Ferelden, and you find him in a room alone, surrounded by dead Darkspawn, with very little explanation. About 1 year after the Fifth Blight ends, Bodan and Sandal are seen in Dragon Age 2 during the first act selling wares. They have been hired on to Bartrand's expedition into deep roads. On the expedition, Sandal wanders off, and when Hawk finds him...
Well, I'll be a Nug's uncle. Isn't that Bodan's boy?
Hello?
It is. The great warrior stands victorious.
I don't believe it. Are you responsible for all this?
Boom!
And how did you do that?
Not enchantment.
Smart boy.
When you meet back up with Bodan after you save him, he tries to get Sandal to thank you for the rescue.
Say thank you to the nice lady for saving your life, Sandal.
Thank you.
Which, why is he sad? Did he want to go into the deep? And then after this, they presumably escape the deep roads with the rest of Bartrand's team. But then we see Sandal again in Witch Hunt under the care of the Circle, which, as Witch Hunt takes place about 2.5 years after the Fifth Blight, it seems the two, after the expedition, went back to Ferelden for a bit, with Bodan trading in Denerim, and then he left Sandal to learn with the Tranquil in the Circle, which ends up being the Tranquil learning from Sandal than the other way around. He also gets to meet up with Dog again. The two seem to travel back to Kirkwall, where Bodan stays on to become Hawke's servant. I guess business on the surface wasn't as great as it was in Orzammar. From here, Sandal just says a collection of odd things.
The old lady is scary. There is no old lady, Sandal. How many times do I have to tell you that?
What's this about?
Oh, my boy sees things sometimes. Says he saw an old lady standing by his bed. She has a scary laugh. One day the magic will come back. All of it. Everyone will be just like they were. The shadows will part, and the skies will open wide. Huh? What's this? When he rises, everyone will see.
At one point, he can also be given a piece of red lyrium to dispose of, which he makes a rune out of. There is also an interesting piece of dialogue between two Carta members in the Legacy DLC about Sandal. Now, I will say that I have tried with all of my might to find out where it is triggered in the game, and I just have not been able to do it. It's been driving me absolutely insane. So if you know how, or at least have a video of it being triggered in game, please let me know, and I'll put it in the next update. Or when this video gets updated, whatever. Now, I did sound out a tweet about it asking if anyone knew how to trigger it, and although he didn't know how to do so, Fusselcorn was awesome enough to actually send over a video of a recording of the lines in question. It's not in-game, but it is the recorded lines, so at the very least, if for some reason it isn't able to trigger in-game, they did record lines about it. And now here's that. If you want to listen to the video yourself, I linked to the video down below with the timecode.
Who's the boy that was living in Hawke's house?
Looked like that Idugan bastard who got lost in the deep roads a while back, didn't he?
The one whose mother was an elf, right?
I thought she was human.
So, Sandal might be the bastard of King Endrin and an elf or human left in the deep roads? We speed away from this towards the end of the game, where Bodan says that Sandal has an invitation from Empress Selene to work with her, and that they will be going there after the game. And the last we see of Sandal is, again, in the last leg of the game, surrounded by dead demons, with only the word Enchantment for explanation. Later in Dragon Age Inquisition, although we never see him in Empress Selene's court, we do find Sandal's journal in the Vir de Thara, of all places, next to an impaled Canary. What's interesting about this journal that I don't see touched on very much is that it's old. The last entry is early in the year 942 Dragon. Trespasser starts in 944 Dragon. This journal ends around the time Corypheus is defeated, if not just a little after. How long has this journal been here? Is it actually a journal because in the Vir de Thara and thoughts are books here or some shit like that? Is this dead body really 2 years old? Did Sandal carry around a journal he never wrote in? Where is Sandal now? How did he get in the crossroads? Was he captured by the Canary? Is Bodan okay? Is he still in the crossroads somewhere? Did he get out? How did he get out? How did he know how to get out? We don't really know. The weirdness. So let's just boil it down to the good parts of what makes Sandal so interesting. Found in the deep by a mysterious door. Somehow skilled with enchanting. Somehow able to kill things without being harmed. Not enchantment? Sad about being saved from the deep roads. Old lady with a scary laugh. The whole prophecy thing. Might be the bastard son of the late king of Orzammar, and might be a half-elf or human, although I will say human is unlikely because he would then probably just look human, much like Kieran does, which then just leaves out elf. Journal in the Vir de Thara with no explanation. So with all of that in mind, let's very briefly, and I mean very briefly, go over the theories. How can I talk about Sandal and not touch upon the theories? To be honest, the theories are just all over the place, so I'm just going to mention the ones that I remember hearing about over the years. If this is your theory and I didn't tag you, it's because I didn't know you did it. This is just things I've heard repeated over and over again for the past 3 or so years I've been in this fandom. Sandal is the maker. See, the thing about this one is that I believe it started out as a joke, but I see it so often that I wonder if someone is actually into it. As for a theory, I don't even know what proof y'all have for this. Posts I see about this theory just kind of go on the conclusion that Sandal seems to be indestructible, so he must be a god, like the Maker. Overall theory rating, 1 out of 10, meme at best. Sandal is Juné. Pretty much take all of the theory of the last one and then add in that Juné was the elven god of crafts. So Sandal's greatness with runecrafting and enchanting is explained that way. Also mix in the old lady is probably Flemeth, who is Mythal. Their rating 3 out of 10, interesting premise, but I'm tired of elven gods and I don't think they're going to be anywhere out there other than Solus and Flemeth that aren't locked away. Sandal is an old god baby. There are no blights around the time he was born. Theory rating 0 out of 10, no. Sandal is a mage, but being a dwarf has completely or partially tranquiled him. He does have not enchantments, so the mage part could work, but limited mental cognition isn't a symptom of tranquility, and Sandal does show a lot of emotion. Theory rating 6 out of 10. Cool if you don't think about it too much, 8 out of 10 if you take out the tranquil part. Sandal is like Volta. I mentioned this before on my videos on Titans, both seem to be able to work some sort of magic, and Volta begins to show abnormal cognition in her journal that is found, with her not knowing the future from the past. Theory rating 9 out of 10, it just makes sense. Sandal started out as a silly character, but it's gotten so out of hand and we as the fans are responsible for it, so the riots will probably get vague hints about him going on and nothing will ever be explained. Theory rating 11 out of 10, gotta think of the meta, guys. And that, dear patrons, is all that we know of the mysterious savant of Dragon Age. Do you still have lingering questions, proof that I'm wrong, comments about your own fan theory? Feel free to tweet me at Gildathon on Twitter or send a PM to Zagilanon on Reddit. To rest your all.